Good evening, everyone. Welcome to California Today. I'm David Zhang. Here is a look at some of today's top stories. Summer vacation wraps up and students are now heading back to school. A first responder shares some tips for everyone to stay safe as kids join the morning commute. California's new plan to promote freedom in education. Critics say some of the other proposed laws do the exact opposite. It hinders parents' involvement. 2 school districts adopted policies around transgender identities, but this contradicts the state guidance. We'll hear more from the state and local leaders. As the summer break ends, school buses and children return to school. We speak to a first responder about back-to-school safety and what to look out for, whether you're a parent, student, or in the neighborhood. NTD's David Lamb reports.
Drive slow, observe the speed limit, and put away that cell phone.
That is one of the safety points Chief Sam DiGiovanna points out as students return to school this month. In California, school zones may have speed limits from 15 to 25 miles per hour when within 500 feet of a school when children are present. DiGiovanna talks about situational awareness of surroundings.
What should parents be on the lookout for?
Parents can calm their child's nerves because they're going to be nervous by being calm and organized themselves. This will set the tone for the children, so if parents are calm, their children will be calm. When you approach a bus and the yellow lights are flashing, that means that the red lights are about to flash. That means children will be onboarding and offboarding. When the red lights flash, it's law in every state to stop behind the bus. Once the red lights stop flashing, you can proceed around the bus, but use caution to make sure that no kids are running out from behind the bus or in front of the bus.
In July, state agencies held a Better Slow Than Sorry campaign in Los Angeles. According to a press release, 35% of all deadly crashes in California in 2021 were speed-related. Nationally, there was an 8% increase in speed-involved crashes from 2020 to 2021. Authorities want people to be aware near work and school zones when many people are present.
Well, it's important to stop behind the crosswalk, never block them, and refrain from honking your horn or revving your motor.
The chief said to advise children not to accept rides from strangers and that parents are the best teachers when it comes to safety. In Santa Clara, California, David Lamb, NTD News.
The governor plans to promote educational freedom. He promises to allow parents to participate in children's learning and create a safe campus without political censorship. But critics say existing laws would infringe on parental rights.
Governor Gavin Newsom and first partner Jennifer Siebel Newsom announced California's family agenda on Monday aimed at promoting educational freedom.
We believe in children's right to thrive. We believe in parents' rights to decide and support their kids. We believe that kids have the right to learn and the right to succeed.
It consists of 4 factors: freedom to decide, freedom to thrive, freedom to learn, and freedom to succeed. It would allow parents to participate in children's learning, create a safe campus, and offer healthy meals and mental health care. It also guarantees the freedom to learn without political censorship. This comes after Murrieta and Chino Valley school districts voted to notify parents if their child identifies as transgender in school. When Newsom was asked about his stance on the school district's policies, he mostly evaded it, but hinted there could be legislation revolving around it.
We're working with legislative leaders. I'll be meeting with the Speaker and the Pro Tem this evening. We'll be discussing it. I know that the LGBT caucus has got some language they're working on. I haven't had the privilege of looking at it. It's a work in progress.
On the same day, a group of parents and organizations held a press conference at the state capitol to criticize a list of bills that they say infringes on parental rights.
These bills are unconstitutional, illegal, they deprive you of fundamental rights, and they need to be stopped today.
One is AB 1078, where the state would set a school curriculum, regardless if it's age-appropriate or fits the local community values, which means if a parent or district finds a book inappropriate, the school cannot remove it because it's material that's inclusive or diverse.
The message was clear. Their goal was to break up the family unit and to take control of our children.
We know what's best for our kids. I'm not going to have a school district or a government agency tell us what they should teach in the schools.
Other bills getting called out are AB 5, which would require school staff to be trained on transitioning students and how to hide their gender identity from parents, and AB 665, which would allow children as young as 12 to consent themselves to mental health treatment. It would allow the minor to leave home and go to government residential shelters without their parents' or guardians' consent for any reason. State lawmakers are set to hear these bills this upcoming legislative session.
As we just heard, teachers could be required to tell parents if their child identifies as a transgender at 2 California schools. This contradicts state guidance. We now go to NTD's Jack Bradley with the details.
2 Southern California school districts recently implemented a policy that requires schools to notify parents if their child identifies as transgender. Chino Valley and most recently Murrieta Unified's new policies require their schools to notify parents if their child seeks to change their name, pronouns, or asks to play in sports or use bathrooms or changing rooms that do not match their sex. To dive into this, I spoke with Republican Assemblyman Bill Iseli.
About a year ago, the California Department of Education, through a frequently asked questions section, put out some regulations that said schools should withhold gender transition plans from parents, that they should not tell the parents unless they get explicit consent from the minor, regardless of age. This regulation was put out under the superintendent, Tony Thurmond. It had no debate. There's no law that requires this. There's no court case. They totally just made it up, and they sent it out to school districts acting like it was legally required. So that's where all this really started.
And doesn't this regulation or guidance rather violate parents' constitutional rights to have authority over their kids prior to have precedence over the schools?
The Supreme Court has continuously ruled over the last 100 years that parents have a constitutional right to raise their children, that they are best positioned to decide what's in their best interest, not the state, not the government. And that's totally flipped with this policy. So yes, it's absolutely unconstitutional. But the good news is we have school districts that are refusing to follow this guidance because it's not required, it's not obligatory. And they're now implementing policies to clarify that schools will absolutely notify parents about what's going on with their kids.
And there's been pushback on these schools passing these policies. Some parents who are opposed to them think that schools are a safe haven from parents who don't agree with transgenderism. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think what's really happening here is they're trying to indoctrinate your kids, and they don't want the parents to get involved in the indoctrination process. So what they're doing is they're setting it up on this transgender issue, but believe me, it's going to cover many other issues. But number one, what authority or power does a school have to withhold information from parents? Absolutely none. So regardless of the reason, you cannot do it. And there's been no evidence, I've seen no evidence to support their position that somehow it's dangerous to keep parents informed on the affairs of their kids. I've never seen any evidence of this, and they just say it like it's true. Well, it's not true, and I would actually argue it's more dangerous to withhold information from parents. Transgender kids at higher risk for suicide, depression, anxiety, how are you going to withhold that information from parents? It's unconscionable.
And I spoke to Chino Valley Unified School District Board President Sonia Shah, who modeled her district's policy after Assembly Bill 1314, written by Assemblyman Iseli.
There is a lot of things in Sacramento trying to divide the families, and it has to do with even the education. I feel like they're using education as a pathway, and we see our Department of Ed, we see the bills coming down. A lot of it has to do with the sexualization and the confusion towards our children. So with this, it kind of pushes back and it shows Sacramento, we're not going to stand for what they are doing. So to me, it was putting safeguards in place because secrets should never be kept from the parent. And we all know that there's things in our, that are being pushed and twisted and narratives being pushed by the Department of Ed and the people making these bills that want to divide the family. And this brings transparency back. It wasn't this particular policy also was something near and dear to Chino Valley because as I walked as a candidate, I was listening to the concerns. So this bill actually addresses those concerns that were voiced in the community when I was walking and knocking on the doors. So I think it was just a great, solid policy. I never thought in a million years notifying the parent of something intimate about their child would be controversial, but here we are today.
Can you elaborate more on what the parents were saying to you in regards to this kind of policy?
Absolutely. So the parents wanted transparency with a lot of things. Right now we have kids, it's really sad because we have kids that are saying they're fluid. They go from one gender to the next. There's a lot of things that, are being pushed down with curriculum that confuse the kids with the genders. So this policy will now bring the parent back in the picture if those things are, the child's experiencing any of those things. So to me, when it came to a point of being able to make a policy to bring the parent back in the picture, that's why this policy was so important to us. And the parents voiced that when I was walking. They voiced that they want to know things about their child. And prior to the last, 4 or 5 years, it was always the school districts working alongside with the parents. I mean, if the kid gets a bump, we're calling the parents. If the kid, throws up at school, you're calling the parents. If the kid got a bad grade or has behavioral issues, you call the parents. I don't understand why something like this would be an exception. I think it's really sad that they're trying to make exceptions, and it just shows their narrative and their direction and their push and their agenda.
Shaw says more school boards across California are considering implementing similar policies.
We'll now take a short break, everyone, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come right back. An old military base in California undergoes a makeover. In a few years, it will be one of the largest parks in the nation. This mama bear teaches her cubs how to climb a fence. In this humorous scene caught on video, one cub was giving her a hard time. To view the annual Perseid meteor shower, thousands of people flock to national parks. But park officials now encourage people to watch from home. Those stories and more coming up on California Today. Welcome back to California Today, everybody. I'm your host, David Zhang. An old military base is getting a makeover in Southern California, making history to turn into one of the nation's largest parks. NTD's Christina Corona showcases its impressive scale.
Irvine's newest park is set to become one of the largest in the United States, boasting expansive grounds and diverse recreational offerings. The Great Park has a rich history as the former Marine Corps Air Station El Toro, and its 1,300 acres embrace recreation, competitive sports, cultural activities, and the natural environment. We spoke with Irvine Mayor Farah Khan, who told us about the initial planning for the current space.
The base was closing in 1999. What happened was there was a lot of discussions about what that would transform into, and by 2002, on the March ballot was Measure W. And that really meant that we were going to decide whether it was going to be an airport or a park. And the county overwhelmingly voted to have it become a park. And that was the beginning of what is now the Great Park.
After 20 years of effort, Khan said with their increased funding, they now have the opportunity to build the original framework plan with several new amenities.
Right now, the park consists of the sports complex, which has the soccer stadium, the softball stadium, the ice skating rinks. But what we're really excited about is what's coming forward, and that's the botanical garden, the Veterans Memorial Park, the lakes, the meadow, the forest, the Flying Leathernecks Air Museum, Orange County Music and Dance, lots of trails and open spaces. So it's going to be a place where you can have active and passive uses.
And just how long will it take until the new park is completed?
So it's going to be in phases. So the framework plan is looking at from now till about 8 years out. And within those 8 years, right now we're doing demolition and grading. Within the next year and a half or so, or 2 years, we'll start seeing things come in. So looking at the meadow coming in, the lake being dug up, the forest trees coming in.
Khan mentions extensive outreach with nearby residents incorporating their input for the park. Given the park's location on an old airbase, ensuring sustainability and the environment is crucial.
So when it comes to sustainability, we're really making sure that each development aspect of the park is taking into consideration the building, using the best materials that we have to make sure that we don't have a carbon footprint left behind.
And are there any plans for preserving the historical significance of the old military base?
Oh, absolutely. As we're involved in demolition right now, we're saving aspects of the old El Toro base, and that's going to be incorporated throughout the park because we want to make sure that as people come in and enjoy the amenity and see what's available for the future, we want to remember our past and our history as well.
Irvine's Great Park will be one of the largest municipal parks in the country. From the botanical garden to the water park to a concert venue, there will be something for everyone to enjoy. The Irvine Great Park is poised to become one of the world's largest, offering an impressive expanse of recreational and natural space for the community and Southern California to enjoy. Christina Corona, NTD News, Irvine.
An ex-football star of an inspirational movie sues his family over adoption claims. Recent controversy surfaced around the film The Blind Side. NTD's Stephanie Seacole reports.
Former NFL player Michael Orr, the inspiration for the Blind Side movie, alleges that Sean and Lee Ann Tui never adopted him as he believed. A petition filed Monday in a Tennessee court by Orr's legal team asserts that the Tuis established a conservatorship instead. The petition seeks to terminate the conservatorship and alleges the Tuis aim to control Orr's business affairs and profit by arranging a deal benefiting them and their 2 biological children. Orr recently learned he was never adopted and is not part of the Tui family. He thought the conservatorship was part of the adoption process. Orr also wants a detailed account of money made from his name and story, seeking fair compensation with interest. The Tui's attorney will respond in court. The petition adds that the Tui gained millions of dollars in royalties from the Oscar-winning film, where Sandra Bullock secured the Academy Award for her portrayal of Lee Ann Tui. A portion of social media fans suggested Bullock should return her Best Actress Oscar due to the controversy. However, opposing fans argue she rightfully earned that award and question how could she have known. Stephanie Seacole, NTD News, Los Angeles.
A viral video caught a humorous scene unfold. A brown bear helps her 2 tiny cubs over a wooden fence. One cub scales the fence with ease, but the second gives its mom a hard time. Let's take a look.
In this video by Cristina Flores Hinojosa, a mama bear can be seen helping her 2 tiny cubs climb over a wooden fence in a California neighborhood. One cub scrambled over the fence with ease, but the second one gave its mom a hard time. Miss Hinojosa told the Epic Times she was excited to see wild nature right there. However, her excitement turned to concern as the second cub struggled to climb the fence, evaded mom's attempts to grab it by the scruff, and then seemed to get left behind. Miss Hinojosa said, quote, "Mama bear disappeared over the wall and I thought, oh no, she's leaving the other baby bear. But nope, she popped right back up and looked for her. After several minutes, the bear cub seemed to lose hope and wandered off into the street. The mom followed and her reluctant cub eventually scrambled over the fence with her help. The clip ends with the bear cub re-emerging over the wooden pickets from the other side, as if threatening to start the whole charade all over again. Miss Hinojosa shared her clip of the bears on social media and was shocked by the skyrocketing view count it got. She said, quote, "I guess everybody felt the same way I felt. It was exciting."
Just as you wouldn't want to face off with a bear, other wild animals can also be dangerous. Seals, squirrels, foxes, and rattlesnakes are common animals people may encounter in the state's parks. Officials advise the public to take precautions to stay safe.
California state parks officials are reminding the public to be aware of wildlife and to take precautions when encountering animals to stay safe. Officials encourage the public to keep a distance when entering other animals' habitats and to never pet wildlife, to lock up human food securely and do not share it with wildlife, to wear closed-toed shoes and pants when hiking, to stay on well-used trails, and to give wildlife their space when encountering them.
especially rattlesnakes. Paul Andrus of the State Parks Department told ABC7 that cold-blooded snakes are most active during hot summer days. Officials also ask that the public report aggressive, sick, or injured animals to a park ranger.
The Perseid meteor shower lights up the summer night sky. Thousands of people are flocking to Joshua Tree National Park to catch a glimpse. But park officials now urge people to view the meteors at home. Let's take a look.
Thousands of people dealt with heavy traffic on Highway 62 and waited in long lines to get into the Joshua Tree National Park over the weekend. The park issued a statement on Sunday urging the public to consider enjoying the meteor showers from home instead of at the park. According to park officials, every campground was booked and traffic was backed up from the entrance for miles down to nearby highways. Park rangers say they tried to encourage people to make it a drive-through sort of experience. Officials added that the Perseid meteor shower happens at this time every year, so if you missed it, you can plan ahead and book your campground spot more than 6 months in advance.
Now let's check in with NTD's Tyler Castile for our sports roundup.
Thanks, David. I'm Tyler Castillo. This is the sports roundup for today. Let's dive in.
This past weekend was the start of the new NFL preseason, with games from the 49ers, LA Rams, and the LA Chargers. Let's review how each team did. Let's start with the local favorite, the 49ers. The 49ers faced off against rivals, the Las Vegas Raiders, where before the game, head coach Kyle Shanahan stated that Trey Lance was for a start in the first half of the game. Well, Lance did indeed start for the Niners, and he threw the only touchdown the Niners scored that afternoon, where it was almost intercepted by the Raiders, but luckily bounced for Ross Dwelly to score. Rookie kicker Jake Moody missed every field goal attempt, but did score 1 point on the point after touchdown attempt. The Niners ended up losing 34-7 to the Raiders. Battle for Los Angeles was a high-scoring game for one team. The Chargers beat the Rams by a score of 34-17. Stetson Bennett for the Rams got 1 touchdown in his NFL preseason debut. The Chargers hit double digits in points in the second and fourth quarter, where they put up 17 points in the second and 14 points in the fourth. Now to indoor football, Bay Area Panthers won the IFL championship by beating the Sioux Falls Storm by a score of 51-41. Dalton Snead was named MVP of the game after he finished the game with 10-11 for 106 yards and 2 scores. This game was also the last game for Storm's head coach Curtis Riggs after winning 11 league titles and 7 IFL championships. The Panthers had their parade in Morgan Hill, where fans showed up in support.
And that was the sports roundup for today. I'm Tyler Castillo. Back to you, David.
Thanks, Tyler. All right, everyone, that's all we've got for you tonight. We would like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts at ntd.com/California-today. You will find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Ganjing World, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. If you'd like to share a news tip or let us know how we're doing, we'd love to hear from you. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.